keep rolling along with these NBA divisional previews. I hope you've been enjoying them. If it's your first time checking out this channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button and click the bell, what the hell, so that way you're notified of future videos. And you should tell other people to do the same. It's the cool thing to do. All right, so we got 4 divisions down and 2 to go. Coming up now, I will talk about the NBA's Southwest Division. All the teams in the Southwest Division, the one that I have the least amount of excitement about or the least amount of optimism about, it sounds crazy to say, but it's the San Antonio Spurs. You've got an aging core with a mid-30s LaMarcus Aldridge and an over 30 DeMar DeRozan. You've got Dejounte Murray, granted, in his second full season back from the knee injury, so he should provide a little bit more punch this year, but I look at this team, and I just don't see why there's a ton of reason to be optimistic. They finished almost last in the division last year. You know, they were just ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans. And I think the New Orleans Pelicans, assuming Zion Williamson, stays healthy, they certainly have much more potential for growth, whereas the Spurs kind of are what they are. And if anything, to me, they're in a position where they should be potentially looking at selling off pieces and seeing if somebody will take LaMarcus Aldridge off their hands, seeing if somebody will take DeMar DeRozan off their hands. In terms of the future, they've had some other guys they've taken in round 1 in recent years that really haven't done that much. And Devin Vassell, is he going to be able to come in and be a 3-and-D guy and provide some punch for this team? Or is he going to be another guy that struggles to see the floor as a rookie? And frankly, when I look at this team, is anybody going to step up and provide offense? Is this a team that can consistently score enough with the other teams in this division in order to keep pace? And I don't think they can. Look, Greg Popovich is an all-time great NBA head coach. I don't think there's any question about that. Hall of Famer, all of that jazz. But even the greats can struggle if the Jimmies and Joes around them aren't good enough. Right? And when I look at this team, that's exactly what I see. I see a team that's just not very good anymore. Like, sure, they'll be competitive in some games, and they'll win some games. But if anything, I think the Spurs are potentially destined for a bit of a decline this year. Because I'd have much more confidence in the Memphis Grizzlies improving. I'd have much more confidence in the New Orleans Pelicans improving. I certainly don't see the Dallas Mavericks taking a step back. And even with the Houston Rockets, even whatever happens with the James Harden saga, I still have more faith in them as a team and what they do than I would the Spurs. So, yeah, I've got the Spurs finishing last in the Southwest Division. There is such a thing. A Memphis Grizzly fan should be excited right now. I mean, really, is there such a thing? I'm just wondering. Certainly there are, but you get the point. They're one of those smaller market teams that doesn't have a ton of buzz around them. But now, you can at least say there's some reason for excitement. Because last year, Ja Morant came in and he was absolutely the rookie of the year. He looked like the type of guy that you saw in the NCAA tournament the year before at Murray State, that he was going to be a franchise player at the point guard position. And I think we saw nothing in his rookie season to indicate that he won't be every bit of that and then some. So if you're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, you've got the franchise piece. You've got the piece now to build around. You also pair him with a still very, very young Jaren Jackson Jr. For a big man, I wish he would rebound better. Got a bit of that Marcus Pfizer's disease. But this is a guy that can score. Is this the season? Now you're talking about year 3 of his career? Year 2 of his career? No, it's year 3 of his career, excuse me. Is this the season he's going to take another step and he's going to become that true secondary option in the Grizzlies offense? Is he going to become a 20-point-per-game scorer? I certainly think signs indicate that he will. You've got some other solid, complementary starters in Dillon Brooks and Jonas Valanciunas. So this is a Memphis Grizzlies team that's on the bubble. They were on the cusp last year of being a playoff team. I don't know that they got a whole lot better in the offseason. Now, you might say, hey, Ja Morant will get better in year number 2. Jaren Jackson Jr. will get better in year number 3. And that might make some difference. And you know what? You're probably right. You're absolutely right. But I don't know how much they're necessarily going to move up the standings in this division. And I will admit, there's a huge wild card here with Houston. Because if you trade away James Harden, at some point in time during the year, you know, they change dramatically and they might finish in the basement in this division. So I'm trying to figure out things. So if you're wondering why would you have the Grizzlies ahead of the Rockets, well, assuming, or not ahead of the Rockets, assuming that Harden's there all year, like I can't totally bag on him because you still got James Harden, who's an MVP level caliber of player. But I expect we'll see the Grizzlies be improved this year, knocking on the door of the playoffs, and they could get there. But for now, I've got them as a team finishing just a little bit below 500. Is all this drama and saga with James Harden ultimately going to play out? You know, it's really going to be compelling stuff to watch over either the weeks or maybe even the months to come. Because Mike D'Antoni's gone. Your GM that gutted any size on that team to say, hey, we're going to go entirely small ball, and Daryl Morey, he's now gone. So James Harden's biggest champion in the organization is no longer there. He's in Philly. And now Russell Westbrook has been traded, and you bring in John Wall, and you say, well, that seems like kind of a wash. But at least with Russell Westbrook, you got some relative consistency in his availability and his reliability in terms of what he would do versus what he wouldn't do. Whereas John Wall really hasn't played in 2 years. So you talk about a guy coming off a myriad of injuries, including an Achilles. Like, what's John Wall got left in the tank? So you could make an argument that they have certainly downgraded there. And then this whole thing with James Harden. Like, it sounds like he doesn't want to be there anymore. Are they going to figure out a way to make him feel good? You know, or is it a situation where everybody needs a fresh start? Personally, I think everybody needs a fresh start. When you're talking about that type of contract and the level of player that Harden is and the amount of money that's attached to him for the next couple of years, it's not that easy as just trading a guy and that's all you got to do. Like, there's a lot of things to factor in and consider, a lot of moving pieces. So we'll see what ultimately all happens. Now, assuming the Rockets have James Harden all year, which is a pretty big assumption at this point, and if you get any consistent availability out of John Wall, it should still be a good Rockets team. You know, they've certainly proven that they're not contenders. That's if they had Westbrook or not, it doesn't matter. Like, they're not contenders. They just aren't. They're more of that type of team that is more of a, hey, we're going to be a 3, 4, 5, 6 seed type of team, and then we'll gag it in the first round of the playoffs. You know, James Harden style, if you will. But they did go out and add a little bit of size in the offseason, which they certainly needed to, bringing in Christian Wood from the Detroit Pistons, bringing in DeMarcus Cousins. And if Cousins can actually stay healthy, which is a big wish and hope based off the past couple of years, then the Rockets will certainly be better with their big men. And they'll be better positioned there. And that could potentially make them, with the different dynamics of the team, potentially a little bit better. But I have to imagine that Harden's going to be traded at some point in time. It feels that way. It could change, but it certainly feels that way right now. It might be closer to the trade deadline for it to happen. But I'm trying to hedge my bets here. Like, I can't just totally say the Rockets are going to finish last because I don't know what's going to happen. But right now, I've got them as about a 38-win team, kind of in the middle of the pack here in the Southwest Division. It might be tough when you think about it as the Pelicans look at it and saying, you know, we traded away Anthony Davis, and he was the guy that was the franchise piece for close to a decade. And that's a tough pill to swallow, to be in a position where he wants to be traded, where you kind of have no choice but to trade him so you don't lose him for absolutely nothing. Like, you have to pull the trigger. The good thing is for the New Orleans Pelicans is you can reset pretty quickly. And when you look at some of the pieces that came back in that deal, you know, you talk about Lonzo Ball, who's a solid NBA point guard. He's not a stud, but he's solid. But then you look at Brandon Ingram coming in and getting the opportunity to be the featured scorer in New Orleans' offense last year. He responded in a big way with a big season that led to him getting that, you know, big-time max contract because he certainly showed that he was worthy of it. And now you're looking at a team, you're saying, okay, you bring in a Brandon Ingram. Now you've got that kind of feature perimeter scorer. You bring in a Lonzo Ball, makes a Drew Holiday expendable. to a certain degree, although it feels like that's a bit of a downgrade to the overall roster. You do add Eric Bledsoe, and then you bring in a Steven Adams. And then you pair that with the fact that you've got Zion Williamson, all 450 pounds of his majestic fat ass. And you say, hey, this is a kid that only played like 24 games as a rookie. In the 72-game season, if you can get 60 or 65 games out of Zion, like this team is going to be better and markedly better than they were the previous season. Because there's no question that when Zion was on the floor, like he was a difference maker. He was an absolute difference maker for this squad. So part of my projection here, talking about going from 30 wins to 40 wins, is banking on Zion actually being able to stay healthy and playing a good portion of this season. Continual growth and development of Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. Now you bring in a Steven Adams, so you get a little bit better down low, a little bit more defense and rebounding. Like this should be a good, young, exciting Pelicans team to watch. I don't think they're quite on the same level as the Dallas Mavericks, but they're on the come up for sure, which is pretty good work from where you were a year ago in the whole we've got to trade Anthony Davis sweepstakes. And finally, we get to the Dallas Mavericks. And you're talking about a Dallas team that was on the cusp last year of winning this division. They were only a couple of games back from the Houston Rockets. They won 43 games. And you think about the Mavericks and you look at them, you could say, well, it was maybe disappointing for them to lose in the first round of the playoffs, I grant you. But it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow and get better. But when I look at the different teams in this division and I say who feels like they're the best positioned to win this division, I think it is Dallas. Because you start with Luka Doncic. He's Dallas's dude. Like the heartbreak that comes with knowing that Dirk Nowitzki's no longer playing to all of a sudden, hey, we got Luka potentially for the next 15, 20 years, damn near. You're talking about Luka's all of 21 years old? So his future is incredibly bright. His stock is only pointing up, and he's already a marquee, legit, elite player in the National Basketball Association. So as you have different teams that search around looking for legit franchise guys, and they could go years and maybe decades without him, Dallas went from Dirk to Luka. It's pretty damn impressive. That's really damn good stuff. So you've got that number one dude. And then you're talking about the trade that brought in Kristaps Porzingis, and he acclimated himself very nicely in Dallas last year. He plays well off of Luka Doncic. He plays well with Luka Doncic. You're talking about a pretty nice, potent 1-2 combination in those two. I look at a Tim Hardaway Jr. and I say, can he be a great, higher quality number 3 option, or just kind of a middle average kind of number 3 guy? Because if he can become closer to a 20-point per game scorer in this team's, easy for me to say. When you look at this team, if Tim Hardaway Jr. can be that third guy, that guy that you could count on consistently to get 20 plus a night, all of a sudden that takes the Mavericks potentially a little bit higher up the pecking order. They're not elite in terms of the overall conference, but I certainly think they're the elite when it comes to this Southwest Division. And will you get from Josh Green and from Terry, are you going to get any punch in that backcourt from those two rookies? That certainly would be helpful. Guys that could spell Luka, that could play alongside Luka. Like, I'm excited about seeing what the Mavericks can do this year. I don't think they're a 50-win team yet. It's probably another season away, especially if you eventually get back to 82-game seasons. But I look at this team and I say, they won 43-32 last year. I think something like 46-26 is reasonable this year. I think it is. And if I had to put money on it right now, I feel like the Dallas Mavericks are the safe bet to win this Southwest Division. But tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. That's my look at the Southwest Division of the NBA. Let me know what you think of my predictions and my thoughts. Give me your predictions and thoughts as well. Smash that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't, still smash it so that way you can crap on me whenever I talk about the NBA. Yeah, that could be fun too. I'm here to let you vent out some of the negativity of life. That is okay. We got 5 divisions down now. We got 1 more to go. So that'll be coming up soon. My preview of the Northwest Division and whether anybody could truly be a threat to Denver there. So make sure you come back and check that out. Check out the other divisional previews on this channel if you haven't done so already.